Welcome to day 3 of the Joyful Growth to Substack Bestseller Challenge. How are you guys getting on? Good, I hope. Today is a strategy day, so hopefully you've done some feeling and some expansive thinking, and you've got into some of the weeds of any blocks that might be coming up or any parts where there's just shards and things don't feel super clear. So I'm hoping by now you're feeling a little bit more clear and we can nudge into the strategy place. If you still don't feel clear in some of the areas, that's okay, because the more we do this work, it becomes like a creative practice. So you will get clearer. Clarity is on its way, it is coming. Keep trying with the journaling, keep trying to get to the crux of your ideal paid reader, who that person is, what makes them tick, and we'll see where we are with that. So, with strategy on Substack, this is a super interesting thing. And the first thing that we need to talk about is the attention economy on Substack. So, as I'm recording this in May 2025, the attention economy has gone from laser sharp focus. People are excited about our posts coming out. They want to read them straight away or save them for later, to completely split. People are on notes. They're digging about in someone's posts. They get distracted. So we've lost it. We've completely lost the attention economy that we had on Substack. Now, we're not going to be sad about that because it's still a beautiful platform, but I want to give you that context because if you watched any of my earlier videos, I'll be talking about the joy of that attention economy and that we've got people in front of us and it's not the same now. So on social media, we're used to grabbing attention. So anyone that will teach you about Instagram, about grabbing people's attention in the first second, 2 seconds or something of an Instagram reel, we're not doing that on Substack yet. It might come, but that's not what's going on. What we're doing is nurturing our audience, relaxing their nervous systems, inviting them in so that they've got time. And when we've done that, when we've invited them in so that they feel like they've got time and their nervous systems are relaxed, then we are presenting them with our messaging about all the beautiful value that is in a paid subscription. So there's no need to try and grab attention on notes. We're not talking about notes in this mini challenging class anyway. But I want you to just put all of that down and know that you've got time to invite people in and get really clear about what you're inviting people into. If you can get them to click an additional article in your Substack, that is beautiful. So think about all of the different invitations in the last 10 posts that you've put out. Go back through them and in your notebook, your special notebook that you'll have for this challenge, I want you to write down all of the invitations that you've invited them to. So it could be subscribe. It could be upgrade to paid. It could be read this from the archives. It could be check out this other Substacker. Write down the number of invitations per post and write down what the invitation was. And then once you've got that, I want you to highlight out of all of that where you've actually invited them to pay in the last 10 posts. So obviously you'll only have this if you've turned on paid subscriptions, but you get the idea. So what you'll find is there are a lot of different invitations. So we are triggering all the time, come and do this, look at this, what do you think about this? See you in the comments. This lovely Substacker over here arrived. Whatever it is, there's loads of different invitations for thoughts and feelings. So some of those invitations are going to signal to people more about who you are, more about your values, more about you and what you're doing on Substack. But others are just going to create a bit of a snow globe effect of, in fact, I'm going to go and run and get one, a snow globe effect of people feeling like, okay, I was here, but now there's all this snow here and there's all these things that I could do. We don't want that. We want them to feel calm. We want them to be reading, because when people are reading, their nervous systems relax. When I read to my kids, my breath slows down, my nervous system relax. It's beautiful. When people read, we have the attention economy. When people scroll, we do not have the attention economy. We haven't got their attention. They are scrolling. The only way to do that would be to grab some sort of emotion. And usually they are a negative emotion. So people love to jump on a negative emotion anywhere on socials. We know that. People love to cheerlead as well, like if they strongly agree. But it's very rare that people will, from a place of grabbing attention, pay straight away. It does happen, and I will teach a tiny bit of it, but it's not the main focus of what we're doing here because we want to get you feeling in a really expansive place. Right, let me pause while I go and get the snow globe because you'll enjoy this. Okay, good. Here it is. Here is the lovely snow globe. So Obviously, you guys get the analogy anyway, but there he is, my little Eskimo friend. So I was saying to my husband just the other week, I mean, don't ask me why we've got a snow globe on display. I think what happened was my daughter found it in a cupboard and I put it up somewhere high so she couldn't smash it. But anyway, I was saying to my husband, I've never really liked this snow globe. And he was like, why not? And I said, well, partly because my ex-boyfriend bought me it. So there's like still that association. Like, I'm not really sure why I've got it in the house. Partly as well because I don't feel invited to the scene. And he was like, that's interesting. And I said, yeah. So usually with a snow globe, my mum had a gorgeous one of New York, and it was like you felt like you could be a tiny person inside that New York snowscape. It was gorgeous. And it's really beautiful. But when my mum brought it back from New York, my grandma and granddad were looking after us. We were just kids. And my grandma cried. She just thought it was so beautiful. And I feel like they're so beautiful. And I've just held on to that thread. And it's just a really, really beautiful memory for me. So I've always liked snow globes, but I don't love this one. So the interesting thing is with these characters, obviously we've got like a little Eskimo, he's got a polar bear, he's got his penguins, he's got an igloo that is far too small for anybody to get into. Like everything just screams like, how do I get in there with you guys? Like you're all different sizes and shapes. I'm not sure of a way in. Like I don't feel invited. So although it's fun and lovely, to look at in lots of ways, I'm just ready to have it out of the house. You know, it doesn't spark joy. I might miss it when it's gone. I don't know. It's so quirky. But there are more beautiful snow globes that I would like to have as a collection. Like, so I thought I was going to collect lots of them, and then I had children and realized that was really impractical. Anyway, it could happen later in life. So the invitation of what we're doing is so, so important. If people can't get inside, if people don't feel invited, if people feel like you're being dismissive or uninclusive, or they don't recognize themselves around the other people that are joining and commenting in your pieces, they're either going to wander off, not comment, not subscribe, like all of these things. And so you need to be really clear on your invites of who you're inviting in. Otherwise, you're going to get loads of people who aren't your people. Like I've seen it happen. It happened to me when I was launching the book last year. So the weird thing when I was launching the book, I've got it here. No, I took it to the photo shoot yesterday. The weird thing when I was launching the book is that I was partnering with someone else's energy, right? So I was partnering with Russell's energy. So Russell is primarily a fiction writer, but he also has written a lot of really successful non-fiction books. He's had traditional publishing deals. He's done a lot on Kickstarter. He's a six-figure business owner. He's quite straight talking. He can be very emotional as well. So I was partnering with Russell. Russell had authority with his audience. I had authority with my audience. So when those two audiences came together and somebody ended up subscribed to my space and I used my voice, there were a couple of men that really wanted to tell me off. And they'd sort of forgotten how they'd ended up there. It was so interesting. And Russell came to my defense straight away. You know, it was really beautiful. I remember the post specifically that seemed to cause a lot of friction, and it was about the front cover of the book. And so people wanted to have really strong opinions. And then because they'd had the strong opinions, I started sort of second guessing what we were doing. I really liked the cover. Russell designed it, and I honor his process and his art and his experience. And I was like, yeah, I like this cover. Would I have had that cover? No, not because of anything wrong with it, just because it wasn't my cover. It was Russell's cover for our book. And the book is a lot of Russell's work. Like I would say it's like 60% of Russell's work. Like he wanted the partnership with me for like the other 40% or whatever it was that I ended up doing and holding that all of that together. So when these guys came over and like this is how they wanted to be, I was like, oh my God, like I've broken my entire space. Like, how has this happened? And then once I sort of calmed down, calmed my nervous system down, spoke to my husband, spoke to Russell, I realized it's just where the light gets in, you know, so there's just that crack, right? So if people feel like there's a way in for them to come into your space and wade in and have their opinions, like those people exist on the internet. There's not loads of them on Substack, but they are there. So of course, like that's going to happen if they see like a crack in your messaging or a crack in what you're doing, or if you're putting yourself out there and you're feeling really confident about it all. So all I did, like, and obviously got rid of those people. That was fine. Mute block exists for a reason. Bless and block, Glennon Doyle would say. Um, After that, I just tightened up my messaging and I went full sparkle. So I felt like I was very sparkle, but I was like, no, no, like you cannot be here. Like this is the sparkle crew. So you'll see in my language, hi sparklers. Now, somebody that doesn't want to be a sparkler will be just out straight away. They'll be like, I don't like that she's calling us that. Okay, bye, because this is what we're doing. We're all gonna have a little sparkle. Sending sparkles is my sign off. Like I'm full sparkles. So I don't speak to people in real life like that. It's not who I am, but it sort of is who I am as well because I want to fiercely guard my space. So this has been really interesting to me. And obviously, I've been on Substack for 3 years. I've never had any sort of viral experience online anywhere. So there was one little one on Threads, but what I've learned about the invitation is that it's about the way that we set out our stall and the way that we anchor that messaging to our right people. And if there is a tiny crack and something comes in, we can very quickly tighten it up. So we don't have to be afraid of it, but we have to know it exists because it can hold us back as well. So when we are getting into this place of strategy and writing to our people and invitation, we can get more into the unpacking of what it is that we are asking people to do behind the paywall and what separates out the free posts. And that can shift and change. So on Creatively Conscious, it used to be a free newsletter. You know, it was a free newsletter before it was anything on MailChimp. And then I moved to Substack, wrote long form, and then ended up saying, right, okay, like I'm going to move my MailChimp list in. I'm going to do a membership. So it went through that iteration. And now it's a paid newsletter where I'll write 2 or 3 paid posts a month and then one for everybody. So the balance of that feels really good. I could shift the balance. I could go all free for a couple of months and the paid subscribers would be fine. They've got the archive. Like I feel really embodied in whatever decisions that my creativity takes me in. I don't feel locked in. I don't feel wedded. I feel like I can experiment and change. And so that's the real beauty of holding the audience who want to be free readers and who are constantly being nurtured and who might join us as paid subscribers, either with a little bit more nurturing, a little bit of time, or further down the line. And then holding all of those people and knowing that even though that sounds like a big number, like I'm writing to over 11,000 people on Sparkle on Substack, I'm only writing to 400 and something of them that are paid, right? So for me, I'm very purposeful about how I show up in that space. So when I'm writing to everybody, usually it's in service with an ask. So I've stopped just doing this is just in service, this is just in service, this is just in service because I've done tons of that. Like that all exists on there. So it's there. So I feel now all of my content, all of my posts are this is in service, but also I have this for you that you can buy. So you know, take the analogy of paying for my Sparkle and Substack membership, which I do push a lot. I would then mention that probably at the top, again in the middle, and again at the bottom. So if I was doing my list of the last 10 posts on Substack, I'd be like, Sparkle membership, Sparkle membership, Sparkle membership. It would just pull out because I very purposefully am trying to ask people to convert to the membership. That said, because I'm a business owner, I'm holding this holistically and I'm not going to do tons of this work with you. We can do it in another container, but that's not what this one's for. I know that not everybody wants to join a membership for all sorts of reasons. So now and again, it'll be pull back from the Sparkle membership, push this other thing, like this challenge. So it'll be like, okay, we've talked about the membership enough. We can put the membership down. I've got this other thing. So with you, like say if you've got a book to sell, talk about the book for like an entire month, 6 weeks, you know, mention the membership, then put the membership front and center or paid subscription or whatever it is. So you've got to kind of push pull with your messaging as people are joining. If you choose the same place for that messaging, for that invite each time, your audience get used to it. So one of the good things that you can do is tweak the words. So you'll see that I do have a bio, but I tweak it like most times I put it out because I want to keep it fresh. Otherwise, people will just skim straight past it. And so we're not inviting them in. We invite them in by making sure that that language is fresh. So you'll see that mine, I use the pull quote feature. You'll see that's usually at the top. And then I'll also sign off with a PS. So there's those 2 places that I always have where I know I can mention my offers. That feels really good to me. Now, you can use that if you want to use that strategy, or you could have something in the middle that looked more like an advert. You could design something up in Canva, and have people click on it and have it be an interactive link. But you have to think about the invitations in your Substack strategy every single time you post. If you feel like you want to really go down this this act of service, which was what I was doing for the first year, and there wasn't always an invitation to upgrade to paid, all of that stuff. That's totally cool, but make sure that you don't then sleep on the archive, because that's beautiful work that you've done. So say if you're really in the beginning phases here, a strategy could be, okay, for 6 weeks, I'm going to provide really high value once a week, every week. I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything. I'm just going to provide value, right? You could say, okay, like I've got a handful of paid subscribers. I'd love to do a push. Well, value is still important for that, but you can do more of a mention. So it's like the value, but the mention. If you want to hit people with a paywall, what's going to happen with that chunk of people who are brand new to your space, or the chunk of people that really want to get to know you more? It's going to annoy them. So you're going to have to be very strategic about where you put in the paywall if you want people to actually jump past the paywall. And so we'll go into paywalls in more detail, but I just wanted to like float that with you so that you can like embody some of that and experience some of what I'm saying in your own publication. So today's task: go back through the last 10 posts. If you haven't got 10 posts yet, then you can use this to journal out what that might look like. Tell me all of the different invites. Tell me what's there. Notice what you see, and then we can chat about it. Thanks, guys. Have a beautiful rest of your day.